This is CBC Vancouver News.
Search and rescue teams are helping Mounties investigate a possible fatal plane crash in a remote area near Squamish. Little details have been released, but the BC Coroner's Service has been called in. And
I miss him every single day. He's a big absence, but I know he's here with me today.
Dozens turn out to play ball hockey in honor of a fallen officer who died in the line of duty last year, bringing his love of sport and community together. Plus,
we based our whole trip around Messi being here.
Miami owes all the fans, MLS fans, kids, everybody, they owe them an apology.
some fans are fuming, others are frustrated after learning last-minute soccer superstar Lionel Messi would not be coming to Vancouver for a highly anticipated MLS game. Why fans say more needs to be done. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Mounties are investigating a possible fatal plane crash in a remote area near Squamish. Police say it received an automatic plane crash notification sent from a smartphone Friday evening. Now, search and rescue teams have been brought in to help. In a statement, the Transportation Safety Board says it is aware of the accident but had not yet deployed investigators to the scene. Although the TSB did not confirm whether the crash was fatal, it did say it will be working with Squamish RCMP and the BC Coroner's Service to investigate the crash. And to North Vancouver now, where RCMP are investigating a daylight stabbing that has sent one man to the hospital. Mounties say it happened around 4 o'clock this afternoon near the Raven Pub in Deep Cove. District of North Vancouver Mayor Mike Little says after speaking with witnesses, it appeared a man wielding a knife who appeared to be in distress assaulted another man on a motorcycle. He says the situation could have been far worse if not for the motorcyclist's safety gear and quick actions of a bystander.
When he retreated from the attacker, somebody, quick-thinking bystander, popped open his car door, and he was able to retreat into the car while the attacker continued his effort, banging on the car.
Police say the suspect has been taken into custody and no charges have been laid at this time. A ball hockey tournament in memory of RCMP Constable Rick O'Brien was held in Maple Ridge today. The Ridge Meadows Mountie was killed on duty last year. As Benit Brach reports, the fallen officer is being remembered for his passion for giving back to the community.
Every play, every conversation, an opportunity to create a connection and honor the dream of the late Constable Rick O'Brien.
Well, this Joint Forces Jamboree started from a conversation Rick and I had to go about 5 years ago. My husband had a passion for hockey. He had a passion for kids, and he had a passion for being a police officer. So we wanted to bring it all together.
Last September, Constable Rick O'Brien was shot and killed while executing a drug-related search warrant in Coquitlam. A 25-year-old man was charged with first-degree murder in his death and attempted murder with a firearm. 2 other officers were injured.
I miss him every single day. He's a big absence, but I know he's here with me today.
O'Brien was 51 and a father to 6 children. Nicole says organizing the Jamboree has been part of her healing journey and hopes to make it an annual event. From ball hockey, skating, face painting, and more, the Jamboree is a reflection of the fallen officer's love for his community.
It was always his wish to have sports and hockey and bringing together police officers with youth.
Constable O'Brien spent 7 years of service with Ridge Meadows RCMP. He earned an award for bravery shortly after joining the detachment and is remembered as a hero.
He was very kind, he was very caring, he was loved by his colleagues. This loss and events like this today are bringing us together and really helping our officers and our community heal.
The memorial, attended by first responders, including police, fire, and ambulance, and parents like Tonley Gruder cheering on their kids.
For us to be able to come here and to support Joint Forces is really close to our heart.
Her husband is in the U.S. military, and she brought her son from Washington just across the border.
Just sound like a great opportunity to come out and have some fun for a good cause.
Others, like 7-year-old Grayson Coyne, had their first go at a ball hockey tournament.
It's just getting out there and scoring some goals. It's been nice while blocking some shots.
Moments the O'Briens hope build on Rick's legacy of bringing people together and building bridges between youth and law enforcement. Benit Brach, CBC News, Maple Ridge.
The opening date of the Broadway subway line has been delayed by a year and a half. Construction has impacted many businesses on the route since it began 4 years ago. And as Michelle Gomez reports, many are concerned about this delay.
When construction began on the Broadway subway project, it was slated to open in 2025. This has now been delayed to the fall of 2027. And this is devastating news for some businesses that are impacted by the construction, like Odin Books.
For sure, it's really confusing to try and figure out how to get over here. There's no longer access to our sidewalk from Main Street, which is where a lot of walking traffic is.
Located on Main and Broadway, the bookshop has a gaping pit in front of it. As a result, it has seen a decrease in sales.
At the beginning, there was some shaking and stuff when they were actually drilling the giant hole. So it was a bit intimidating.
Farther west down Broadway, Greens Market is also struggling. Owner Santip Incentival says sales have gone down by about 40% since construction began 4 years ago.
We've been on the brink for a while. It's been, getting line of credit after line of credit, borrowing money off family, friends, banks, whoever will give us money to keep us afloat. And, it's my dream, so I'm not going to let it die without a fight.
The province says many factors contributed to the delay, including the pandemic, rising costs of materials, and a concrete worker strike.
I understand that the Broadway community is not going to be happy about this extension of time. And we're doing all of that in an area that has a fairly dense urban environment.
The new subway is expected to alleviate congestion on Broadway, extending the Millennium Line by almost 6 kilometers. In the meantime, Sentival says businesses along the route need financial help. He launched a petition calling for tax breaks in 2022.
They could start off with at least not charging us proper taxes and business licenses. A little kind gesture like that would be enough to make a lot of us happy here.
Gao says the province does not provide compensation for disruptions due to construction projects, but for some, these delays mean a real possibility of going out of business.
I don't know if I'll ever recover from what I've lost from this last 4 years.
Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
The Vancouver Island University is shutting down all of its music programs as a cost-cutting measure.
Unconscionable. It's an opportunity that is virtually thrown into the ocean. There are no music teachers, there are no teachers out there for high schools and middle schools whose background, not just background, but training, professional training is in music.
A 7-6 vote from the university's Board of Governors resulted in the cancellation of the jazz diploma and bachelor programs. In a statement, the university says the cancellation of these programs does not mean the end of all music instruction, adding it will continue to explore opportunities to offer music courses as electives. Students that were hoping to attend the only jazz program available on Vancouver Island will now need to look elsewhere. The Vancouver Whitecaps are offering free tickets to a future soccer match in hopes of easing the disappointment of some frustrated fans, many of whom say they have traveled from far distances and paid for pricey tickets to only find out last-minute soccer superstar Lionel Messi would not be at tonight's highly anticipated MLS match at BC Place. So Rab Sandhu has more on how fans are feeling.
I found out in Kamloops, BC when he wasn't coming, so.
Shane Moosman was already on a 22-hour drive from Saskatchewan to Vancouver when he learned several soccer stars, including the legendary Lionel Messi, will not be in Miami's lineup. to face Vancouver in their MLS match at BC Place.
Our nation's based around soccer, right? So everybody's been a Messi fan, Ronaldo fan.
Musmin is a part of youth group from Mosquito Grizzly Bears head Lean Man First Nation.
We based our whole trip around Messi being here.
Despite their favorite player missing, Musmin and his group are taking advantage of the pre-game festivities, along with thousands of other die-hard soccer fans. A day after the heartbreaking announcement, the Vancouver Whitecaps said they will not be offering any credit to ticket holders and instead will be offering a 50% discount on all in-stadium food and beverages. But by Saturday, the club attempted to win over angry fans by offering anyone attending the game a complimentary ticket to a future 2024 regular season match. But for some, that's not enough.
It's a good way to make up that Messi and all of them weren't coming, but it's still not as good as watching Messi and all of them.
These tickets were arm and leg, and a free game on any other day is not even close to that same price.
Inter Miami says the decision to leave star players like Messi as well as Luis Suarez and Sergio Busquets behind was in light of club's busy upcoming schedule.
Miami owes all the fans, MLS fans, kids, everybody, they owe them an apology for not showing up their star.
The Whitecaps say they have no control over who plays for their opponent, but will examine what the club could have done differently in the lead up to Saturday's game. Major League Soccer says the league will continue to review how clubs report player availability. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
A community chest created by Indigenous artists from across the province traveled by canoe from BC's interior to its final stop in New Westminster Friday. The project, called Honoring Our Grandmother's Healing Journey, shares the teachings of Indigenous ancestors through celebration, honor, and grief. With every stroke of her paddle, Nadine Spence says her reconnection with her grandmothers grow deeper. It's a healing journey for the Indigenous artists from Spence's Bridge. Both her grandmothers died on Vancouver's downtown east side.
Whatever trauma that the grandmothers had went through, or my mother, or any of the women, or my father as Indigenous people, I'm collecting it through this journey to, in some sense, to repair the wounds that they had as children. Their wounds pass on to me.
Aboard the canoe, multiple generations of paddlers from First Nations across BC and a handcrafted cedar chest filled with Indigenous artwork, stories, and teachings.
The work of the Coast Salish knowledge keepers of this land to remind us to honor the waters and the lands and our ancestors is really crucial always, but especially right now for me.
The energy and the power of the grandmothers that stood here for years, that taught us the language, the lessons, the culture, the beauty, and the protection of the lands.
The canoe journey replicates the migration and life cycle of wild salmon. So far, this chest has traveled to more than 14 First Nations communities, collecting letters and messages of healing and reconnection along the way.
This journey on the canoe and following these threads, these pathways that have been followed for many millennia or however long, it's important to bring that energy back, especially to this place that has been a gathering place in history and is opening up that dialogue again.
He says his involvement in the project is in honor of his grandmother.
When she passed away, one of the things that was left was a wooden box, and in that box was sort of, pieces of paper with ancestral names and tidbits of information and photos. We each have a box, we each have a bundle. That is the research that we do, understanding who we are, where we come from.
Honoring Our Grandmother's Healing Journey is part of an exhibition on now until December 15th at the New Westminster Museum and Archives. Hundreds of people are feared dead after a major landslide in Papua New Guinea. More on the search for survivors after the break. A massive landslide in Papua New Guinea has left villagers frantically digging through rubble for survivors. Authorities fear the number of dead could be in the hundreds. The CBC's Philip Lishanek has more.
Mountain, you come down now.
In the aftermath of a landslide early Friday morning, villagers captured the chaos on their phones as they scrambled to rescue those buried beneath rock and dirt. Rescue efforts continued through the weekend as people dug to free those trapped, while others watched, dazed and in shock. Drone footage shows a huge ravine cleaved into Mount Mangalo. The rock and earth fell on at least 5 villages in a remote northern province in Papua New Guinea, about 600 kilometers northwest of the capital, Port Moresby.
This is a massive destruction that took place. Everyone were fast asleep, not knowing that anything could take place, and they were fast asleep.
Entire villages were covered in rubble, homes crushed, hundreds may be dead, thousands missing. Local leaders made a plea: large machines are urgently needed.
We're asking the national government or whoever that wish to help, please, we really need your help.
Prime Minister James Marape ordered immediate search and rescue operations, but conditions are still dangerous.
The soil is still moving. It's posing high increased security risks, not only for the rescue teams, but also for other villages and communities living down the stream.
The landslide also blocked the main highway to the area, slowing the arrival of medics, military, and aid agencies.
People are buried under a debris of 6 to 8 meters. And every minute that passes is decreasing our hopes and increasing our frustration.
While villagers can get images of the devastation out, ways into the remote area are limited.
We're really just trying to keep in touch with what's going on to hear what it is we could possibly support them in. But until they get into the area, the only other access likely is a helicopter.
Officials say landslides are uncommon in this area, but there have been tremors recently, and a changeover to a La Niña weather pattern has brought heavy rains. Philip Lishanek, CBC News, Toronto.
At least 6 people were killed and 40 others injured after a Russian attack in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. It's the latest strike in a relentless campaign this spring on Ukraine's northeast. The CBC's Alison Northcott reports.
Flames and plumes of thick black smoke engulf a hardware store in the city of Kharkiv as firefighters work to extinguish the burning rubble. Employee Dmytro Sirotenko says the store was full of shoppers when the strike knocked him and his colleague to the ground. He says they hit the floor, were covered in rubble, and dug their way out. Ukrainian officials say 2 Russian-guided bombs hit the store, killing several people and injuring dozens more. Not long after, officials say several more people were injured in another strike in a residential area. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strike, calling it another demonstration of Russian madness. Zelensky offered his sympathies to the victims' families and said Ukraine needs help from Western leaders to beef up air defense systems to protect Kharkiv, which has been the target of Russian attacks for weeks. Russian officials say there was also an attack by Ukraine inside their borders, killing several residents.
There's a lot of messaging that's going to take place both militarily and diplomatically and politically.
This former official with Canada's National Defense Department says these latest strikes come ahead of a planned peace summit in Switzerland next month that Russia isn't a part of.
There are 2 tracks underway. There is the military track, the grind, the fighting that will continue. Each side will pressure, cause attrition, exhaustion on the other side to put themselves into a better negotiating position, if you will.
The international conference in June is meant to chart a path to peace, but Russia has said any talks without Moscow's participation would be a waste of time. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Washington.
Here we have a live shot of glowing lights at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. I'll have your full forecast next.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond. Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
It's time now to take a look at our weekend weather and what the week will look like ahead of us. Let's start with tonight's temperatures around the province. 2 degrees is your low in Dease Lake. A lot of precipitation in places like Fort St. John with a low of 8 overnight. Kelowna, again with those precipitation showers at a low of 7 and possibility of thunderstorms overnight. And Victoria is sitting at a low of 9 overnight. That rain is going to be sticking around with a high of 15 in Prince George for tomorrow. Again, some chances of thunderstorms throughout the day in Prince George, Tofino and Victoria, with rain and a high of 12 and 13 degrees. Moving into our 5-day forecast here in Metro Vancouver, as I mentioned, rain for the majority of the week. Sunday with a high of 13 and warming up ever so slightly with a high of 15 for Monday. A first-of-its-kind 4-day street dance festival kicked off today in Vancouver with dance battles and performances by a variety of artists from across Canada. Over the coming days, Eurofest will be held at the SFU Goldcorp Centre for the Arts, Robson Square, and at Q7 Studios. We popped by to learn more about the passion behind the festival. Take a look.
Eurofest is a 4-day street dance festival, and we're celebrating Oro Collective's 10th year as a dance collective. Individually, Oro Collective has been active in the street dance community for well over 20 years. And we came together 10 years ago to create Theatre Works, and we thought creating a festival open to the public would be the perfect way to celebrate our 10th year. So that's how we kind of got the idea. Day 2 will be all of our performances. So we have Diamonds in the Rough, we have Tag, which is our youth recipient, and we have Oro Collective and M Queen from Montreal. We'll all be doing like 7 to 20-minute performances.
So having the opportunity to demonstrate that, we're here having a great time, and we're reaching out also to the youth at the same time, and we're in the community and part of the culture we want to share with everyone else.
That is your late news for this Saturday, May 25th. Thank you so much for watching. For news on the go, you can download our free CBC Gem app or always head to our website at cbc.ca/BC. We'll see you tomorrow.